So we're back out fishing and we're at Carron Farm on the Portsmouth and District ticket, and it's a very special water to me because this is where I learnt to carp fish. I caught them off the bottom, I caught them off the top, I caught them stalking in the margins. This is where I developed a love for stalking carp on this particular water. This is pond 2 and there's a series of 4 ponds. 1 and 4 are the easy ponds, 2 and 3. 3 is probably the hardest one. I thought I'd come on to 2, see if I can catch one out of here, give myself a little bit of confidence boost, and then go on to number 3. But it's been tricky. I've had a rod out on the bottom, over on the far margin, with some broken up ballies around it, and I haven't had a single bleep. I saw a few swells on the surface. I put some dog biscuits out, and 1 or 2 dog biscuits started disappearing, but they've been very, very frustrating. Just like they always used to be. It's one of them really weird venues where you'll put some dog biscuits out and you can't get them going. They'll come up and they'll take 1 or 2 and then they'll be gone. And 5 minutes later, another 2 will disappear. And it makes it so difficult to know where they're going to be, to preempt where to put the hook bait. But this little inside margin, I've had a couple of smaller carp, probably sort of 3 or 4 pound coming up, taking the odd dog biscuit. So I'm concentrating on that now because it's up close and personal. I should be able to just literally drop it down when one comes up. But at the moment, I've had a couple come up for the bait and just miss it at the last minute. They're not stupid. But yeah, the challenge today is to catch a carp from each of the 4 ponds. See what we can do. Got here at lunchtime, probably about an hour and a half into the session and still haven't caught one yet. So it's getting on to mid-afternoon, definitely. It's 20 to 4 and I've probably got until about 8 o'clock, so it doesn't give me a lot of time. It's a tall order, but we will keep trying. And eventually we get off the mark with a lovely chunky common. The chances are I probably caught this fish 20 years ago. Old as the hills. Not massive, but we've ticked at number 2, pond number 2 off the list. And I haven't got a great deal of time left to do this challenge, so I'm going to toddle off up to pond 3 and bait up a couple of margins, and you never know. But if nothing else happens, that's made it all worthwhile anyway. Happy days. So this behind me is pond 3. This is the tricky one, but it looks ripe. I've baited up 3 or 4 margin spots. The good news is there was someone bivvied up on here earlier, but it's free now. So I'm going to wander around with a bucket, bait up a few margin spots, and then visit them with a stalking rod. See what we can do. So I've been fishing now for about 20 minutes. Nothing's happened, I haven't seen anything. I've baited up a couple of margin spots and I've got a rod out by the pads. But so far I haven't seen anything. There's a bit of fizzing going on. But then there's crucians and tension in this pond as well, and I've been putting pellets in, so it could well be that. But I have had a chat with the bailiff who's just been round, and it turns out that this is a bit rock hard, this pond. It lends itself well to using the baiting pole and just tucking it in underneath all the nooks and crannies. And in my infinite wisdom, I brought the spoon and left the pole at home. I had every intention to bring it with me and use it on a venue like this because it's perfect for it. But alas, it's still there. So I think what I'm going to do is give it another 10 minutes or so, and I'm going to wind in and go for a bit of a wander. And if nothing presents itself to me, if nothing looks like it's going to give me an opportunity, I think I'm going to sack it off for now. Do the challenge again another day when I've come a bit more prepared. And I think I'm going to go and maybe I'm going to go on pond 1, just have a little bit of fun with the small stuff on the surface. Just for the last couple of hours, because I don't see much point in chuck it and chance it on here when I could go and have a little bit of fun somewhere else. We shall see. So unfortunately that session was cut short. I know I challenged myself to catch one from each lake, and I eventually got one from 2, but it took me so long to do it. Didn't leave myself enough time with 3, and I just didn't realise what I'd bitten off with pond 3. Pond 3 is a bit of a ball breaker. Having a chat with the bailiff and having a good look around, it's not going to be a whip in, catch one and whip up to the next pond sort of jobby. So I decided to sack it there and then, and I'm back again now, and the idea was to get in nice and early, it's just after lunch, to get into a swim on 3 and find a couple of spots and give it a good crack of the whip, see if we can catch one out of there. But I've turned up, and unfortunately every swim's been taken. It's Tuesday afternoon and the lake's full. But that's just the way the cookie crumbles, so I was scratching my head with wondering what to do next. And adjacent to 3, obviously, past the causeway is pond 4. Just had a look in a corner and I saw 4 or 5 carp. They're not big carp, they're probably upper singles. A couple of them might be touching doubles. I just ran back to the car, grabbed a handful of dog biscuits and put them out, and they went choff, scoff, 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 scoff. Just got bare essentials just to do a little bit of stalking on the surface. I've come back, put another handful of dog biscuits out, and they've all disappeared as well. So I've got a feeling, like the old days of Carron, this could be a smash and grab, in and out, bosh one out quite quickly. And then we'll have a little scratch of our heads and see what else we want to do after that, but there's an opportunity, so I'm going to take it. So looking down there amongst the feeding fish, try to pick something out a little bit different from the rest. There are a couple of bigger fish, but this one just looked old as the hills. Looked like it's been round the block a few times, and I just wanted to have a closer look at it. So there she is. Lovely old fish. Not going to keep it out of the water too long because it is an absolutely sweltering day today. I think that's enough for her and get her back in the water. But yeah, great start. That really didn't take long at all. So after having that fish quite quickly, it does pose the question, could we do the challenge today? Pond 3 is full up with people at the moment. But I've got time now to get down to pond 1, see if I can winkle one out of there, one out of 2, and then by tea time, if you have people on pond 3 start to disperse, I might be able to get in there for the last couple of hours and have a go. I've just put some more dog biscuits out, just on the hope that I might be able to catch another quick fish. And just while I've been talking to you, another couple of dog biscuits have started to disappear. So I might see if I can catch one more from here, and then make my mind up as to whether I'm going to stalk this pond. There is an angler at this end of the lake, and there is an angler at the other end of the lake, so I haven't got the place to myself, so I'm not at liberty to wander up and down, up and down, up and down. If you've got the lake to yourself, I don't see if there's a problem stalking from swim to swim, but if there's anglers on the lake, they've come out for a day's peace and quiet. The last thing they want is someone traipsing round and round and round, making a load of disturbance. So I'll see if I can catch one more out of this swim, and then make my mind up. So the group of carp did come round again, and they just slowly mooched up to the dog biscuits, had a quick look at them, and then swam away. I think that first capture has just put them on edge for a little bit, so I've just put some more dog biscuits out, and I'll let them have some freebies, let them get a bit confident again before I make another cast. But pond 4, this is the one that I really wanted to come and fish. They've had some matches on it recently, and they do some videos, and the pond looks gorgeous. It's got some lily pads, it's got bays, it's got reed lined banks, it's got everything. There's some carp in there. I don't think there's any big carp in there. I think because it's a match venue, I think they've taken most of the bigger carp out. But I've seen some of the weigh-ins at the matches, and just waggler fishing with a light float rod, this would be lovely fishing next to the pads close in. There's some lovely crucians in here, lovely dark crucians. They look beautiful, along with loads of other stuff. Tench, carp, rudd, roach, probably perch. Yeah, I think perch. Probably bream. We don't like bream, do we? No. So yeah, I'm just keeping an eye on these dog biscuits, keeping an eye on this group of carp. I'm not going to give it too long, because as I said, if I'm going to do this challenge, I need to be in, bang, get one, onto the next pond, bang, get one, onto the next pond. And then hopefully we can have a couple of hours on 3 later. But we'll see. I've got a duck in the swim now, so I've got to go and yeah. I was watching a fair-sized ghostie swimming around taking a few dog biscuits in amongst 1 or 2 average-sized commons. And I've managed to hook the ghostie. My friend Steve will know. There used to be a big fallen tree there. And it was the home of what we used to call the big ghostie. And it looks like it still lives there. That's crazy. I thought that looks like a big ghostie. It used to be in here 20 years ago. It's boring down deep as well. If it is, that's made this session. I think it is. I think it's just a fairly large pale common. Is it the big ghosty? I don't know. I don't know. I came down here, as soon as I got down to the causeway, where I wanted to be, there's someone fishing opposite, so I thought I'd leave that alone. Come down to the little bay where the overhanging tree used to be. And there was a couple of fish sat underneath the overhanging tree that is there now. It's like a little sapling of the original tree. Just put a couple of little half dog biscuits out in amongst the branches and they started taking, so I quickly sat up. And I saw one come up, very pale, looked a bit ghosty like. So I had a couple of chances at him and he just moved away from it. And I saw him come in from the left, he must have gone out a little bit and came in. Dropped it in front of him and he took it. And that was a real deep battle underneath the rod tip all the way around. Didn't really go very far, just kept boring down and hitting the bottom. And all the way through it I'm thinking, I wonder if that's the big ghosty that used to live in here like 20 years ago when we used to fish here. I don't think it is. It looks, it's a ghosty and it's a decent size for the pond. The pond has got sort of fish between 4 to 6 pounds in here, and that's probably a scraper double, so it's a better fish for the pond. But I think the big ghosty used to be pushing 20 pound, I think. Anyway, let's get her out and have a look at her. Just going to get her out for a little while. Quick couple of seconds either side, and because it's a hot day. And there we have it. What is now, not the original, I don't think. No, it's too small. But what is now the big ghosty from pond 1. And that is ponds 4 and 1 ticked off in about half an hour. So if I can get down and sort pond 2 out and not have such a mare that I had last time trying to catch one, then hopefully we can have a bit of time on 3 if someone moves off. There's a lot of factors, a lot of contributing factors that can make this go wrong, but we're doing it. Let's get this back in the water and move up to 2. So I'm on pond 2 now, just rocked up in the disabled swim. And straight out in front of the swim, about a rod length out, there's a carp sat right there. Apologies for the noise, there's someone at a tractor behind me. But yeah, chances are I'm going to spook that, but I'm going to try and stick a dog biscuit straight on his nose. Spooked that first fish that we saw, as expected. Didn't see much else after that. I stayed there for about 3 or 4 minutes, then got on my toes and went down to the end swim by the jungle. Put some dog biscuits out in the margin, and while I was waiting I came back just to have a look at the dog biscuits I put out here before I left, and there were a few fish taken. So a couple of better fish out in mid-water, which I had a couple of chances at but pulled it out of their mouths. And we've caught a really long, lean common that's no doubt has been in here forever. Bit of an oddball, bit of an odd shape, but it's a fish out of pond 2, so that's 4, 1 and 2 done, pond 3 to go, and it's still fairly early in the day, it's not tea time yet. So I think I'm going to go back to the car, have a drink, and then devise a game plan. A lot of it hinges on somebody leaving from pond 3, so we just have to see what happens on that front. But there you go, that one's done. So I'm going to slip this one back, go and get a drink, and then thinking cap on. So I'm travelling fairly late today. I've got my unhooking mat obviously. What I like to do is have another little unhooking mat that sits inside. And that's got obviously my rod sleeve, my glasses. I didn't have my bait spoon. I don't know why I've got my bait spoon with me right now, but my little pouch that my camera lives in, and then my bucket of dog biscuits will sit in there as well. Just means I can travel around from lake to lake, swim to swim, and not be laden down with loads of stuff. And the reason I've got that extra unhooking mat is that when I catch a fish, I literally just take that out, do the fish in the mat, and then when I finish and I'm off on the move, when I put that mat in, I can put my stuff in there without my stuff getting wet. So just a little tip. So you probably can't see me very well because of the sunshine, but the lake's the important bit. This is pond 3. It's where we ended up last time. A bit more confident this time. I've got about 4 hours. About 4 hours to make it happen. In it to win it. Let's give it a go. So that's it, the rod's out. And when I say rod, it is a 1 rod swim in my opinion. Just 1 rod down this left down margin. You use the pole to tuck it in underneath all the overhangs. So I think it's prime. I'm confident in it. I could put a second rod out, but it would be another one of those swims where you're putting the second rod out just for the sake of putting the second rod out. And it could just become a problem later. So I think 1 rod on the right spot, nice and quiet. Sit back, enjoy the evening, and see if we can complete this challenge. So I started on here about 4 o'clock, and I had until 8, and it's now 6. So I'm halfway through this little stint and I've had nothing yet. I have calibrated that margin spot. I've had a little prod about with a stick. Found the depth, the substrate on the bottom. I'm happy with it. And after a couple of attempts, I've got a bait on the spot now, and in the last sort of 20 minutes I'm starting to see some bubbles. And out in front of me in open water, probably about 20 metres out, I saw those patch of bubbles coming up. But I'm reluctant to put a second rod out. I know I've got 1 rod in the right spot, and the feeling is just to leave that and not put loads of lines in the water. I've got another rod set up if I need it, but at the moment I don't think I do. I think I'm fishing far more effectively putting 100% into 1 rod. So that's where we are right now. It's looking beautiful. Lovely time of the day now as well. It's just starting to cool down. There's a gentle breeze. Pigeons are calling. Acorns are falling. I did that rhyming thing again. So as you can see, I'm back in the car, and that's the end of the session. It's too dark down in the swim now to do the outro because I've got no lights or anything with me. I didn't expect to stay this late. The challenge was a fail for me, but pond 3 is a tricky one. I think to come down and try and do that in a couple of hours to catch one is a bit of a tall order. I reckon I could have had something if I was staying through the night, but packing up on dusk, there's been anglers on there all day and nobody's caught anything today. So yeah, it's a tricky lake, but it's not going to put me off coming back. I'll come back and have another go at it another day, maybe start on that lake early in the morning, and then if I can catch a fish out of there, then move on to the other lakes and see if I can do the challenge. But there is another complex not too far away from here, Tide Barn, which has got 3 ponds on, and there's an easy lake, an intermediate lake and a hard lake there, so there'll be fun to go and have a try there maybe next time. We'll see. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.